people call the Lion King. But there are creatures on these plains that do not bow to that title. The African buffalo emerges from the heat haze like a living armored vehicle. A single animal can weigh close to a ton. Thick hide, a massive neck. On its head, the horns fuse at the base into a solid bony shield across the forehead. When two mature bulls collide, nearly a ton of muscle is driven straight into that central point. The impact sounds like timber split by a hammer. In many African traditions, the buffalo is not merely wildlife. It is a symbol of a will that refuses to back down. Because this animal possesses something even many predators do not, the instinct to turn back. When one individual is attacked, the herd may reverse course and charge back in to save it. The lions know that well. They do not attack the whole herd head-on. They look for the isolated one. An old bull, a large but inexperienced youngster, a male forced away from the circle of protection. The lionesses begin their work the way they always do, divide the angles, use the wind, tighten the pressure. They are far smaller than the buffalo. A mature buffalo may outweigh a lioness several times over. In theory, one clean horn strike is enough to end the hunt at once. So the lions do not hunt by theory, they hunt by tactics. One grabs the shoulder, another bites at the hind leg. A third waits for the precise second the giant loses balance. The hunt is no longer a short explosion. It becomes a battle of endurance. Grass breaks beneath hooves. Dust rises around them. The heavy breathing of buffalo and lion fills the heat. Then comes the reversal. From behind, the black wall returns. Buffalo do not abandon one another easily. They become a moving fortress, pushing their horns outward and placing weaker bodies at the center. The force of hundreds of kilograms of muscle surging back toward the lions is enough to make even the killers of zebra and wildebeest retreat. In a moment, the hunt changes direction. The supposed victim becomes the force of counterattack. This is where the plains overturn, one of the oldest assumptions a viewer brings into the scene. Prey is not always the weaker side. There are moments when prey is the most dangerous thing in the entire frame. But the story does not end with the lionesses. There is still a young male lion standing his ground. He has no pride yet, no territory, no roar big enough to summon an answer. To become a ruler, he must pass through trials like this. Buffalo are one of the harshest tests of courage the plains can offer. One slip, one horn through the belly, one mistimed step, and the life of the animal that dreamed of a throne ends before anyone ever learns his name. On the savannah, power is rarely given. It is tested through risk. Many thrones begin in the blood of those who never lived long enough to claim one. And while the lions are still panting around their rare kill, the broken cackles of spotted hyenas have already begun to travel through the air. Hyenas are not the clumsy scavengers people like to describe. They are relentless predators, social hunters, living in matriarchal clans with strict internal order. A clan may number from a few individuals to many dozens. Their jaws are strong enough to crush bone, taking what other species leave behind. They do not chase like a cheetah. They wear down. They press. They wait for another creature to make the mistake. On the plains, during birthing season, they target newborn wildebeest with ruthless efficiency. A calf falls. The mother turns back. Horns thrust outward. Sometimes maternal courage saves the young. Sometimes it only delays death by seconds. And above it all, broad wings are already circling. Lappet-faced vultures, whiteback vultures, the cleaners of the savannah, do not wait for a drumbeat. They read the air. They see death from immense distances. The largest can spread wings nearly 3 meters wide. Their beaks are strong enough to tear through the toughest hides, opening carcasses for smaller scavengers to follow. Elephant, buffalo, antelope, rhino. All of them eventually require these cold laborers so that death does not become disease. On the plains, nothing is wasted. Death is assigned. It is a form of order that can feel unbearable when seen through emotion, yet horrifyingly precise when seen through the logic of an ecosystem. This is not the clumsy accident of a few million years retold with elegant language. It is a machine too tight, too exact, too merciless, and too enduring for anyone to stand before it without sensing the presence of a design larger than the creatures within it. If buffalo teach lions about the force of the many, then the rest of the savannah still holds giants that do not need large herds to force predators aside. Yet in the greatest bodies of all, vulnerability reveals itself in ways no one expects. If the lion entrusts his future to the pride, the leopard chooses the opposite path entirely, alone, in shadow, across a landscape where a single wrong step can cost an entire season of hunger. It is the predator of the edge between light and dark, of low thickets, of tree shadows cut across hot ground. Its golden coat marked with black rosettes was never made for beauty. It was made to fracture the outline of its body into patches, to dissolve into dry grass, bark, and leaf shadow. Millions of years ago, its ancestors crossed from Asia through hard country and kept on their bodies. Only what mattered most for a solitary life: soft feet, low shoulders, a tail long enough to balance, and the strength to kill prey and then remove that prey from whatever came afterward. A mature leopard may defend a range stretching across dozens of square kilometers. It needs no fence posts. Territory is written in scent, claw marks on bark, and the silent presence of the owner himself. The dry season makes that life harder than ever. The ground cracks open. Heat rises as if from a kiln. Waterholes shrink into mud. And where water remains, hyenas have often arrived first. A large clan can dominate almost anything by sheer numbers, not to mention the crushing force of its jaws. The leopard knows this. It does not compete unless forced. It goes farther, finds damp places others overlook, and accepts thirst if that is the price of survival. But thirst is only one problem. The leopard must also hunt. Impala become one of its familiar targets, spring-loaded, quick, alert, capable of moving in herds that function like defensive walls of nerves and vision. The leopard advances one careful step at a time, setting each foot down as though afraid to crack the earth. The whole hunt is a contest between time and sound. It waits for the wind to die, for the herd to let down its guard for one breath, for hunger and patience to meet in the same instant. Then comes the strike, short, controlled, clean. The prey may have half a second to understand what has happened, but the turning point of the leopard's story does not lie in the pounce. It lies in what comes next. The savannah is full of animals ready to steal from it. So the leopard hauls its kill into a tree, jaw clamped around the neck, spine bowed, claws fixed into bark. It raises the carcass step by step, removing the meal from the ground, where the law of numbers begins. The solitary hunter survives not because it is stronger than lion or crocodile, but because it understands that true victory means eating what it killed before someone else catches the scent of blood. Its success, therefore, always stands on a ledge above failure. A missed strike means wasted energy in dry grass. A stolen carcass may mean several nights with an empty stomach. Then the rain comes. The cracked land turns green. New grass shoots upward, in some places taller than a man. The air cools. Rain on leaves becomes cover of another kind. And with the rain comes the great migration. Vast herds of wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle push northward from the Serengeti into the Masai Mara. For the leopard, this is a season of both opportunity and confusion. A young zebra drifts from the herd. The leopard lies pressed to the earth, body bent like a drawn bow. The chance of success against zebra is low, but the reward is too large to ignore. It moves through the folds of the land, using grass and mud as camouflage. Then it bursts out. The mare wheels and chases, bites, kicks, screams through the language of her body. Maternal instinct is the one force on the savannah that does not fully obey probability. But this time, it is not enough. The leopard keeps hold of the foal and vanishes into cover. The savannah does not reward courage. It grades only the result. The real danger now no longer comes only from hyena or zebra mare. It comes from the land itself changing, The average temperature of the savanna has risen. Dry seasons stretch longer, shade grows rarer, water grows rarer. The shadows leopards need are disappearing. Wildlife corridors, GPS collars, ecotourism, and real-time tracking are being used in many places. These are not embellishments to a story. They are attempts to restore the last darkness a leopard can still vanish into. When one sees a leopard pass through tall grass and seem to dissolve into the landscape, it becomes hard not to wonder who placed that gift inside every rosette. The ability to disappear at the exact moment it must. And beneath the branches where it hoists its kills, another species is already waiting, not to pull prey upward, but to drag everything lower. Closer to bone, closer to truth, closer to the night. Every hunter on the plains must expose itself to the light sooner or later. The crocodile does not. It lies low under the water, letting mud erase the outline of its body, leaving only its eyes and nostrils to do the rest. On land, a roar may claim territory. In water, silence is the true declaration. The Nile crocodile is one of the most successful crocodilians left on Earth, and in Africa, it is the largest, the hardest, and the most complete. A mature male can exceed 6 meters and weigh over a ton. But the thing that makes it frightening is not its size. It is the feeling that this animal comes from another age, almost unchanged, as if evolution once finished perfecting it and saw no reason to return. Its back is not just skin. Beneath the scales lie small bony plates called osteoderms, serving at once as armor, solar collector, heat storage, and mineral bank. The open mouth it shows while basking is not a threat. It is a cooling system. Yet the greatest mistake would be to believe that an unmoving creature is inattentive. Along the crocodile's jaws are sensory receptors so fine that the surface of the river becomes a map of vibration. The flinch of prey, a misplaced hoof at the bank, a body struggling only meters away. All of it reaches the crocodile like an alarm. No human engineer, with a lifetime to try, could easily redesign a creature that is at once armor, sensor array, blade, and living battery. And it existed long before human beings knew enough to ask what perfection might look like. The crocodile strategy is patience in its purest form. It can remain underwater for up to 30 minutes, sinking into a silence so complete that prey mistakes it for driftwood. Then the moment arrives. That body explodes upward from the edge of the water like a tension cable released. The jaws close. The bite force can rise into the tens of thousands of newtons, among the strongest in the animal world. Its conical teeth are not designed to chew. They pin, hold, and drag. But what made the crocodile legendary is still something beyond the bite, the death roll. When prey is too large to drown immediately, it spins its entire body around its axis with terrifying speed. Flesh, tendon, and joint are not simply torn by teeth, but by torsion. This is not frenzy. It is technique written into the genes. A form of violence so exact that it feels almost engineered. Then the story changes tone. On a warm bank, a female digs a nest. The fate of her brood is decided not only by inheritance, but by temperature. If the nest runs too hot or too cold, the sex ratio shifts. When faint cries begin to emerge from the eggs, she returns. The same jaws that can crush the femur of an antelope become delicate enough to split shells and lift the hatchlings free. She carries them in her mouth to the water. But the river is no sanctuary. Fewer than 1% of crocodile hatchlings survive to adulthood. Monitor lizards raid the nests, raptors sweep from above, large fish wait at the margins, and sometimes the most dangerous enemy is another crocodile. The future of this empire is built on the deaths of the small. When the two empires finally meet, the savannah seems to stop breathing. A lioness with cubs drags at a strip of carrion at the edge of the water. At the other end, a crocodile holds the rest, using the pull of water and mass to take it back. The struggle is not beautiful. It is not noble. It is simply real. The lioness is not stronger. She only has more to lose, so she wins enough to feed her cubs one more day. But when a male lion steps too far into that water, the rules change at once. One sweep of the tail, one clamp from beneath the mud, and the king of the plains is dragged out of the only world he understands. Every empire has a border. Every ruler has a terrain where his power becomes useless. The dry season forces everything closer together. Less water, less prey. A dead hippo can draw an entire pride of lions and the biggest crocodiles to the same place. No treaty is signed. Yet both sides read each other fast. A warning roar, a guttural answer from the water. Tension hangs over the river like a drawn wire. They are enemies. But they are also rivals who understand too well the cost of spilling blood. And while both remain absorbed in that struggle, a third enemy has been entering this story for a long time now. Us. Lions now occupy only a fraction of their former range. Crocodiles, too, face hunting, conflict, and fragmented populations. The king of the grasslands and the lord of the swamp are both losing a war they never chose to fight. Yet there are still people resisting that loss. Anti-poaching efforts, captive breeding pressure relief, GPS alert systems for livestock communities, safer enclosures at night. This world was given to us in astonishing detail. The question is no longer whether nature can endure. The question is what we will leave behind when the last banks begin to dry. And as the river settles after that struggle, another shadow slips from the grass. It does not roar. It does not rise from mud. It comes alone, as silent as a bad thought. If the lion entrusts his future to the pride, the leopard chooses the opposite path entirely, alone, in shadow, across a landscape where a single wrong step can cost an entire season of hunger. It is the predator of the edge between light and dark, of low thickets, of tree shadows cut across hot ground. Its golden coat marked with black rosettes was never made for beauty. It was made to fracture the outline of its body into patches, to dissolve into dry grass, bark, and leaf shadow. Millions of years ago, its ancestors crossed from Asia through hard country and kept on their bodies. Only what mattered most for a solitary life: soft feet, low shoulders, a tail long enough to balance, and the strength to kill prey and then remove that prey from whatever came afterward. A mature leopard may defend a range stretching across dozens of square kilometers. It needs no fence posts. Territory is written in scent, claw marks on bark, and the silent presence of the owner himself. The dry season makes that life harder than ever. The ground cracks open. Heat rises as if from a kiln. Waterholes shrink into mud. And where water remains, hyenas have often arrived first. A large clan can dominate almost anything by sheer numbers, not to mention the crushing force of its jaws. The leopard knows this. It does not compete unless forced. It goes farther, finds damp places others overlook, and accepts thirst if that is the price of survival. But thirst is only one problem. The leopard must also hunt. Impala become one of its familiar targets, spring-loaded, quick, alert, capable of moving in herds that function like defensive walls of nerves and vision. The leopard advances one careful step at a time, setting each foot down as though afraid to crack the earth. The whole hunt is a contest between time and sound. It waits for the wind to die, for the herd to let down its guard for one breath, for hunger and patience to meet in the same instant. Then comes the strike, short, controlled, clean. The prey may have half a second to understand what has happened, but the turning point of the leopard's story does not lie in the pounce. It lies in what comes next. The savannah is full of animals ready to steal from it. So the leopard hauls its kill into a tree, jaw clamped around the neck, spine bowed, claws fixed into bark. It raises the carcass step by step, removing the meal from the ground, where the law of numbers begins. The solitary hunter survives not because it is stronger than lion or crocodile, but because it understands that true victory means eating what it killed before someone else catches the scent of blood. Its success, therefore, always stands on a ledge above failure. A missed strike means wasted energy in dry grass. A stolen carcass may mean several nights with an empty stomach. Then the rain comes. The cracked land turns green. New grass shoots upward, in some places taller than a man. The air cools. Rain on leaves becomes cover of another kind. And with the rain comes the Great Migration. Vast herds of wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle push northward from the Serengeti into the Masai Mara. For the leopard, this is a season of both opportunity and confusion. A young zebra drifts from the herd. The leopard lies pressed to the earth, body bent like a drawn bow. The chance of success against zebra is low, but the reward is too large to ignore. It moves through the folds of the land, using grass and mud as camouflage. Then it bursts out. The mare wheels and chases, bites, kicks, screams through the language of her body. Maternal instinct is the one force on the savannah that does not fully obey probability. But this time, it is not enough. The leopard keeps hold of the foal and vanishes into cover. The savannah does not reward courage. It grades only the result. The real danger now no longer comes only from hyena or zebra mare. It comes from the land itself changing. The average temperature of the savannah has risen. Dry seasons stretch longer. Shade grows rarer. Water grows rarer. The shadows leopards need are disappearing. Wildlife corridors, GPS collars, ecotourism, and real-time tracking are being used in many places. These are not embellishments to a story. They are attempts to restore the lost darkness a leopard can still vanish into. When one sees a leopard pass through tall grass and seem to dissolve into the landscape, it becomes hard not to wonder who placed that gift inside every rosette. The ability to disappear at the exact moment it must. And beneath the branches where it hoists its quills, another species is already waiting, not to pull prey upward, but to drag everything lower. Closer to bone, closer to truth, closer to the night. Giraffes, the tallest land animals on Earth, carry a different kind of force. Their legs, nearly 6 feet long, are not merely pillars. They are hammers. A single kick may deliver roughly 2,000 pounds of force, enough to badly injure or kill a lion. Yet what makes giraffes remarkable is not just their power, it is their calm. Many species panic when pressed. Giraffes often do not. They measure. They wait. Then they strike with the timing of something that has never forgotten how dangerous its own body can be. Their height offers another advantage. They see farther than nearly anything else on the plains. Danger appears in their world long before the rest of the savannah fully understands that death is approaching. Warthogs, awkward at a glance, are masters of reaction. They can reach 30 miles per hour over short distances, slipping from ambushes that seem impossible to escape. Yet when trapped, they do not always flee blindly. Their curved tusks become hooks of resistance, capable of turning the final moment of an attack into a painful lesson for the aggressor. Oryx go even further. They almost seem to carry a battlefield on their heads. Horns more than 3 feet long stand straight like forged spears. When attacked, they turn with enough force to puncture even the thick skin of a predator. Wildebeest, central figures of the Great Migration, may weigh as much as 600 pounds and wear curved horns like hooked blades. When pressed too hard, they do not always break. Many plant their feet and drive forward with the full stubbornness their species was born to possess. And Cape buffalo stand at the end of all illusion, nearly 2,000 pounds, horns fused at the base into a shield of living steel, a charge capable of breaking ribs and launching predators off their feet. But what makes them truly terrifying is not weight alone, it is cohesion. They do not defend as individuals, they defend as architecture. They become muscular walls around their calves, turning the act of hunting into a nightmare. The turning point in all of this is a truth humans often forget because they are so captivated by teeth and claws. Herbivores are not passive victims. They are engineers, fighters, and silent structural supports holding the savannah together. They feed the land. They open routes. They force predators to refine themselves without rest. And in doing so, they are shaping the evolution of the hunters as surely as the hunters shape them. On these plains, Prey is not merely defined by predation, it is defining the predator in return. Every day, every chase, every counterattack, every dry season, neither side grows alone. Some natural phenomena are more than movements across geography. They are heartbeats. The Great Migration of the African savannah is one of them. Millions of wildebeest, joined by zebras and gazelles, surge across nearly 2,000 miles in a relentless cycle governed by rain and drought. It begins when the Serengeti changes color, when the green grasslands of abundance fade into a dusty yellow sheet, when the waterholes shrink, when each mouthful of grass loses the power to sustain the herds. That is when collective instinct awakens. No trumpet sounds, no command is given, but the herds begin to gather, as if hearing an invisible call from somewhere beyond the horizon. The march is not beautiful in any gentle sense. It is heavy, exhausting, and relentless. Under the burning sun, thousands of bodies walk mile after mile with no true rest. Calves are born along the way and must stand within minutes because the journey does not wait. Tired bodies move together like a single wave of life rolling towards something no individual truly understands, yet the species itself somehow remembers: rain, fresh pasture, continuation. But migration is not only a crossing of dry land, it is also an immersion into danger. The Mara River is its greatest trial. Beneath the murky surface, giant Nile crocodiles wait for months. When the first wildebeest head plunges into the current, order vanishes in an instant. Thousands of bodies collide. Hooves hammer water like thunder. Calves cry for mothers lost in the crush. The current tears the exhausted from formation. And in the middle of that chaos, the most terrifying sound is often the soundless closing of jaws beneath the surface. Some are swept away. Others vanish between teeth rising from the brown water. Yet the most merciless truth of the migration is that it does not stop to mourn. One wave presses over the next. The herd moves on. Because the savannah does not reward hesitation, it asks only one question: can you keep going? Even those who make it to the opposite bank are not yet safe. Lions, cheetahs, and other hunters wait for the broken, the winded, the misaligned. Yet here, the sheer mass of the herd becomes its own weapon. Wildebeest turn the vulnerability of the individual into the protection of numbers. People look at the Great Migration and see magnificence. The savannah looks at it and sees a purge. Under the light of the early season, the ground begins to tremble before the eye can even understand what is coming. Wildebeest arrive first, high-shouldered, heavy-headed, rough-bodied, as if assembled too quickly from several different animals. They are not beautiful in the way zebras are beautiful. They are not slender like gazelles. But their herds are a storm with rhythm. They hear water from far away. They smell change in the wind. They feel vibrations through the ground. And the zebras beside them move like guardians of the journey itself. With a near full-circle field of vision, they read the horizon better, catch movement in the grass faster, detect the shadow of a predator sooner. They are not kin to the wildebeest. They simply share the same silent vow: live long enough to see one more sunrise. Gazelles move along the edges, lighter, quicker, easier to leave behind. Yet the presence of all three species together creates a living network of defense, each giving the others what it alone possesses. That network, however, is not kindness. It is calculation written by nature. When hundreds of thousands of bodies move at once, the newborn, the weak, the wounded, the ones who lose the rhythm, begin to drift toward the edges of the current. And at those edges, other eyes have been waiting for a long time. Lions watch the margins. Hyenas watch the space between mother and calf. Cheetahs watch for the instant a gazelle turns the wrong way. But all the hunters of the land become smaller when the migration reaches the place where earth and water stop respecting each other's boundary. The Mara River appears quiet. That is the most frightening kind of quiet. Its water is brown, dense, seemingly idle. But just beneath the mud, a force has been waiting there almost since the age of dinosaurs. The Nile crocodile does not chase the herd. It lets the herd fall into it. A mature male may stretch beyond 6 meters and weigh more than a ton. Its back is bone-armored. Its belly hugs the riverbed. Only the eyes and nostrils show enough for the world to forget it is there. Everything about this creature has been made for a single moment, to lock shut and not let go. Its bite force rises into the tens of thousands of newtons. Its tail provides the burst. Its jaws do the rest. The whole river becomes a trap. Wildebeest stand at the edge, torn between the instinct to go forward and the species' memory of the deaths already dissolved into this water. Then one jumps. The rest crash after it. Mud erupts. Hooves strike other hooves. The cry of a calf cuts through the chaos. The river explodes. A crocodile's head surges up. A body disappears as though the water itself erased it from the world. But the turning point of the migration is not death. It is a scale of continuation. Each year, enormous numbers fall. It sounds like disaster. Yet those deaths feed the grass again, feed crocodiles, vultures, hyenas, bacteria in the soil, and the next wave of green that rises after the rains. The blood that sinks into the land does not end a story. It starts another one. Perhaps that is why no one can stand before the migration and think only of cruelty. There is an order inside that cruelty, a severe, terrifying order. A calf born on the plains can stand within minutes. Soon after, it must walk. Not long after that, it must run. There is no true childhood on these plains. There is only a brief interval between being born and being forced to keep up. Behind the migration, the alkaline lakes blaze with another kind of endurance. Lesser flamingos, the smallest flamingos in the world, stand in water so caustic that many creatures would turn away from it. Algae and microorganisms stain them pink and orange. Their legs withstand salt. Special salt glands do their silent work inside them, like the machinery of astonishing biological systems. They do not hunt. They do not chase. Yet they exist where few others can. Nakuru, Ogoria, Magadi. At times, the alkaline lakes of Kenya push the horizon away from the color of earth and into a field of pink. Hundreds of thousands, sometimes more, of slim bodies with curved necks, inverted beaks, and red legs gather so densely that the water appears to bloom. Flamingos almost force the human eye to think first of grace. Kenya teaches something harder. Behind that blaze of color under the sun is a difficult life, tied to algae, microorganisms, water chemistry, seasonal shifts, lake depth, and the precision of ecological balance. Every stir of the feet in the mud, every side-to-side sweep of the head as the bill filters life from cloudy water is labor. They are not simply standing beautifully in bright light. They are processing water into nourishment, reading the lake through their own bodies. The colony depends on the right water levels, enough food, stable breeding conditions, undisturbed shorelines. A small change in any of those can unravel the whole phenomenon. That is what makes flamingos greater than their appearance suggests. An immense spectacle can be built on conditions that are frighteningly delicate. When a whole flock lifts at once, the sky does not erupt with the violence of a lion hunt. It shivers in another way. Thousands of wings beat. Pink washes through the air. The lake catches it and returns it. And in that moment, the flamingo becomes more than a symbol of Kenya. It becomes a miracle of synchronization. Proof that enormous beauty can still be made by fragile bodies moving together in the right place. The Maasai ostrich is a contradiction in motion. The largest bird in the world, flightless. And that is exactly why it dominates the plains in its own way. A male can stand nearly 3 meters tall and weigh well over 100 kilograms. Its pink-red neck burns against black plumage. The female is softer in color, fading into the heat like dry grass. Its eyes, among the largest of all land animals, scan vast distances. Its two-toed legs allow it to maintain extraordinary speed across open country. Yet the ostrich does not survive by running alone. When driven too close, a kick from one of those legs can deal devastating injury. It is a species that lives by seeing first and reacting first. On these plains, being the first to see danger can matter more than possessing teeth. The secretary bird walks through grassland like a noble in mourning, black crest trembling slightly above an upright body. Beneath that elegance is a machine built to kill snakes. It does not hurl itself into chaos. It approaches, measures, and drives its legs downward with enough force to crush a reptile's resistance in a single sequence of blows. Day after day, it crosses large sections of grassland on foot, holding territory with those same legs. In a world where so many survive by tooth and claw, the secretary bird solves danger with timing and impact. It is another reminder that creation does not repeat itself carelessly. Each species is given its own way to fight. Warthogs survive through agility and practical intelligence. Their tails stand straight like aerials when they run. By day they graze, dig for bulbs, root through soil. At the hottest hour they disappear into the abandoned burrows of aardvarks or porcupines, always backing in so that their tusks face the entrance like a built-in defense. Females and young live together in small groups. One suspicious sound is enough to send tails upright and bodies racing towards safety. They are not magnificent in the way elephants are magnificent, but the savannah cannot function without creatures like them. They trim grass, disturb soil, become prey for lions, leopards, hyenas, crocodiles. They are part of the material from which the great dramas of predation are made possible. And then there are African wild dogs, the most efficient cooperative hunters on the continent. Packs may number from around 10 to 30, sharing food not only with pups, but with injured and aging members. Their patchwork coats look like torn maps sewn back together. Their strategy is the opposite of chaos. Detect, surround, redirect the prey, force it away from the herd, maintain pressure until its legs begin to fail. They do not need the crushing bite of a hyena. They need synchronization so fine it is almost invisible. A pack of wild dogs in motion is the closest thing nature has made to a tactical unit. And yet even such skilled hunters are being reduced by habitat loss, diseases carried from domestic dogs, competition with lions and leopards, and declining genetic diversity in many populations. On the savannah, talent does not guarantee a future. It only makes the loss harder to accept when a species begins to disappear. By day, hippos tempt people to misunderstand what still water means. They lie submerged to the eyes, like living stones breathing and snorting and opening enormous jaws before sinking again. The water around them seems lazy. Birds stand at the bank. Sun rests on their slick gray-purple backs. But beneath that stillness lies territory divided by tension. This is not a resting pool. It is a place where power is kept with tusks, with deep calls rolling through the water. With invisible distances, no other male is allowed to cross. Hippos live between two worlds. By day, water shields them from the sun and keeps their massive bodies from overheating. At night, they rise and follow paths through the grass to feed. The savannah is often told through the story of predators. Hippos remind us that even grazing can reshape a landscape. They carve trails through riverbanks, keep patches of grass cropped low, and cycle nutrients back into water through their dung. The rivers and floodplains of the Mara carry their footprints as a rhythm repeated across seasons. Then a rival male drifts into the wrong stretch of water. Suddenly, the tone of the whole pool changes. The territorial bull lifts his head, eyes narrowing, mouth opening so wide that the jaw seems like a living cave. Great tusks flash in the light. He bellows. The sound is nothing like a lion's roar. It is deeper, heavier, as if mud, air, and the pressure of the river itself were being forced through the same throat. The other male answers. Water begins to shatter. Bodies of enormous weight slam together, heads collide, jaws gape, white spray erupts. The piece of moments ago proves to have been only a thin skin stretched over a reservoir of violence. That is the turning point of the hippo's story. It is not gentle because it eats grass. It is not passive because it spends its days half submerged. In fact, it is one of the most volatile, unpredictable animals in Africa's waterways. Water does not soften it. Water merely hides most of its force until conflict breaks it open. And because of that very presence, much of the riverbank is shaped by the life of hippos, compressed trails, open grazing edges, nutrient transfer, and spaces other species later use. At night, when the herd rises from the water one by one, each body seems to carry a slab of darkness with it. They move slowly, but nothing here is truly slow. Explosion waits in every throat. In every step lives the memory of roots followed generation after generation. And by dawn they slide back beneath the surface, as if nothing happened, allowing the water once again to seal itself over with a false calm. People call the lion a king. But the throne of the savannah is not made of gold. It is made of blood, territory, cubs that must survive the dry season, and roars loud enough to tell the world that this ground already belongs to someone. In the Masai Mara, dawn is not merely the arrival of light across the grass. It is the hour when the pride rises from a hot night, from old hunger, from patrols that lasted until just before sunrise. Lionesses emerge from the shade, shoulders low, eyes still heavy, as if sleep has not fully left them. The males stand behind, mane catching the first light, listening to the land as though it could be torn away in a single, careless night. The strength of the lion does not lie in the individual. It lies in society. Among the big cats, that is the exception. A pride is a structure of roles, of relationships, of a discipline that is never spoken aloud. The lionesses are the backbone of daily life. They hunt, nurse, guard, and share the angles of an ambush. One pushes a zebra herd off course, another cuts in front, a third blocks the retreat toward the dry gully. There is no shouting, no command. Only a knowledge already written into nerve and blood. Then the burst comes. The grassland seems to jump off its axis. Hooves strike, dust lifts, the grass breaks, and somewhere inside that prey herd, one body misses the rhythm. But inside all that power is a harder truth. Lions are never secure. A strong pride today may be broken tomorrow. The dominant males live under constant pressure. Hold the borders, hold breeding rights, hold the roar that travels farther than the next coalitions. If a younger, larger, more ruthless alliance of males enters the territory, the entire structure can change hands. And when that happens, the tragedy rarely ends with wounds. Cubs sired by the old rulers may be killed to force the lionesses back into reproductive cycle. On these plains, inheritance is not told through tenderness. It is written through replacement. That is the real turning point in the story of the king. Lion power is not a crown resting safely in place. It is a burden. The roar that rolls across the savannah at dusk is not only meant to threaten rivals, it is also a form of reassurance. I am still here. I still hold this land. I have not yet been pushed outside it. Like the younger nomadic males drifting along the edges of someone else's kingdom. Their manes dusty, their bellies narrow, their eyes red from restless nights. Some will spend their entire lives as ghosts around the territories of stronger males, waiting for an uprising that may never come. Even so, the lion remains one of the pillars of this ecosystem. It keeps grazing herds in a permanent state of caution, forcing them to move, to judge where to sleep, where to graze, where to drink. It prevents the grassland from being swallowed by excess. And once the pride finishes eating, the remains feed hyenas, vultures, insects, soil, and next season's grass. No king stands alone. The lion is only the most visible face of a much deeper network. When night falls and its roar rolls across ground still warm from the day, the sound carries more than majesty. There is exhaustion in it. There is warning. There is fear. A king in Africa does not live to be admired. He lives to protect what he has for one more night. In Kenya, dawn does not open a new day. It opens a judgment. Across the plains of the Masai Mara, the roar of lions tears through the thin morning mist. Elsewhere, a cheetah has already lowered his body into the grass, waiting for the burst that will decide everything. Hyenas linger at the edge of the light, patient, as if they know that on this land, the winner is not always the one who strikes first. In the deep mud of the river bends, crocodiles lie still like ancient slabs of stone. Hippos rise from waters that only seem calm. And beyond the sunlit alkaline lakes, flocks of flamingos stain the horizon, pink, fragile yet enduring. Kenya is more than nature. Kenya is a place where life pays for every breath, because the true heart of this land does not belong to a single species. It belongs to the Great Migration. More than 1 million wildebeest needs verification, joined by zebras and gazelles, pour toward muddy rivers where the raging current is only the first danger. Beneath the surface, death is waiting. Along the banks, predators are waiting too. And when the first animal leaps, the entire savanna seems to explode. This is no longer a journey. It is the final test of instinct. In Kenya, there is no room for hesitation. There are only those who keep moving forward and those who vanish in the current. This is Kenya, where every footprint pressed into the red earth continues the oldest story on this planet: survive or be devoured.